T minus 3 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man,
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes,
exclusive. Oh,
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
you are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. I'm your boy MJ, and I got some heavy hitters in the house. The Scrub King, Stephen Cush. He's upset. I got my boy Andrew Acevedo. You don't go by AA Exotics anymore, do you?
No, I don't.
Can you? So Herptofauna?
Yeah, Herptofauna.
Herptofauna. Okay, I like that. We're gonna talk about a little bit what that name really means. But guys, what the fuck is up? I got my homies here visiting San Diego. We're fresh from Pomona. I mean, how you guys feeling about Pomona? Honestly, and don't fuck around. We got there late. You hit the ground running, Steven. You were like, I couldn't keep up, but you saw probably a lot more than I did. You and Andrew both did. But tell me, what did you think of the show, Steven?
It was nice to be back out here. I haven't been to a Pomona since, it was 2019. Was when we first met MJ in person. I think there were circumstances that caused the crowd to be a whole heck of a lot smaller than a typical show.
Right.
I still enjoyed it. Had fun. There was a lot of, what I felt were cool animals there, but like it was mostly to me like on the colubrid side of things, kind of those cool little obscure colubrids that I'm into. But overall, good show. Definitely enjoyed it. Have fun being there, and was just kind of glad to be back.
What do you think, Andrew?
I haven't been to this show since 2018, so it was definitely a bit of a time frame since being there, and it was fun.
That's when we first met.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever met MJ. It was very brief, but that show was definitely a great reminder of how great the reptile industry is, and it was fun to just hang out, see everyone. I wasn't there for anything in particular, but just to see my friends. But if you haven't been to that show, it's definitely worth going.
I thought that was one of the most, definitely on the West, Pomona wise, or like Reptile Super Show wise, one of the most funnest U.S. ARC auctions I've ever been at. I thought the U.S. ARC auction went really well.
Hands down.
Was there a total amount what they raised yet? They normally post it on the website, but hopefully they did pretty good. I know, shouts to Bubba Geckos, but Bubba Geckos had a painting of one of my Monoquary green tree pythons that went for $3,000. So fucking respect. That shit was sick. I really wanted that, but
I don't know what you're looking at.
All right, so guys, before we get deeper into things, shout out to everyone in the early bird comments. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. I'll say what up to you guys in a minute. But you guys know what the fucking deal is, man. For the freshest, bestest rodents delivered to your doorstep, $30 flat rate shipping, day one pinks to the mammoth rats, coldbloodedcafe.com. Dude, can we talk a little bit about your new packaging? It's 100% recyclable now, right?
Yes. So we have not spoken on it too much publicly yet, but for anybody who has been receiving packages from us at Cold Blooded Cafe, we've gone to a 100% recyclable, biodegradable packaging. We went from primarily using those big, thick, triple-walled boxes to a stronger, double-walled box to kind of cut down on just some of that paper waste, essentially. Just kind of reduce the size of the packaging a little bit. And then the insulation is the biggest thing that we've changed. So for anybody who had ordered from us in the past, we use fiberglass insulation like how many companies do. And we were never particularly happy with it. And then we found this new insulation that we're using that is cornstarch based and is 100% biodegradable as a recycled product on its own. And basically, when you get the packaging, there's a plastic coating on it that you just take off and recycle, and then you can compost the insulation. You can dissolve it in water, as it is just cornstarch based, and in water it just dissolves.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so
It's cool.
we're trying to kind of just stick to what we believe in. We're at the end of the day, we love animals, we love conservation. And we're trying to do our best to kind of be in line with that belief. To my knowledge, no other feeder company is doing anything like this. They're either using fiberglass insulation like we used to use, or just styrofoam coolers that end up in a landfill for the rest of the time. So, just kind of sticking to our mission of always trying to innovate, push the envelope a little bit, and be one step ahead and do what's best for the animals in the natural world.
All right. So, Steven, I will have to say, I mean, I haven't been as consistent with my CBC promos, but I will say that there was a point where I was doing them like every Thursday, or I was doing them pretty consistently. So people were like, hey, how are you getting your Cold Blooded Cafe order in within the week you order? So what's your advice for anyone who's like trying to get their order in as soon as possible and doesn't have to wait that week if they missed the loop or whatever?
Sure. So we have it all laid out on our website, but just to put it, verbally,
Make
it a little more simple. Just based on what we're doing, we're shipping frozen meat. We can't ship where there's transit over the weekend because it just sits at that UPS location and doesn't move. The dry ice evaporates and the rodents go bad faster. So we do a majority of our shipping on Mondays, and then we will do more on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, depending on the number of transit days for the order. So out here to California or other states, it's a 3 or 4 day transit, a pretty long time. So if the orders are not in by 2 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, they get pushed to the next week. And really, that's just so that your orders don't go bad. Occasionally we will have people that order on like a Saturday and they'll email the next morning wondering why they didn't get their rodents. It's like, okay, well,
right.
UPS doesn't function on the weekends. Which is why, we're working within the constructs of a different company. If we didn't have to, it would obviously be a different story, but we all have to use these shipping providers. For anybody who's living in our 2-day transit zones, which is really a majority of the country. If you're anywhere that is not more coastal, there's a good chance that you're, or like, I guess, along the entire border of the country, southern and northern with Canada. There's a good chance that it's a 2-day transit. We have a graphic on our website that shows where in the country is, how many transit days. For those orders, it's Tuesday at 2 p.m. for the and for the 1-day orders as well. So best bet is to place your order over the weekend. I always kind of get an MJ's case because he's sending me his orders like Monday morning at like 11.
No, but okay,
Eastern
with all
time.
due respect, I do ask you, is it too late? I'll just say, hey, is it too late to put an order? And you go yes or no. But yeah, you're right.
That is true. That is true. But I don't want to.
I used to just shoot it over though.
I don't want to screw you over. But for anybody who's ordering, best bet, is, well, I would say order when you're not out of rodents.
Right.
Because things happen, or you could hit a holiday week where we're not doing our longer shipments. or
Bad weather.
or anything really. Yeah, unfortunately with the pandemic, all shipping has been significantly worse than before across the board, no matter what you're shipping. So we have experienced an increase of delays that are 100% out of our control. It's just on the UPS side, which we always resolve anyway. But that doesn't change the fact that you don't have the animal or the rodents to feed your animals. So generally speaking, stay on top of what you have in your freezers, and when you're low, order instead of when you're out, because if there's an over weekend delay, that product is spoiled and it has to be reshipped the next week, or you do a replacement order. That's an additional week that you don't have your rodents, and there's nothing we can really do about it. But typically speaking, if next week you want your rodents, if it's in before Monday, you're going to get them. So that's what I got to say to that.
All right. Well, Cold Blooded Cafe, the #1 frozen rodent company in the game. I really love Cold Blooded Cafe. You know why? Because you guys fucking feed Missouri.
We do.
Just saying, Missouri's
We do feed
legit.
Missouri.
All right, guys, real quick, I'm gonna have Andrew tap in on this because back in the day, I don't know if it was a chondro clutch. I forgot what I got for one of my very first clutches in something, and Andrew was definitely always there to kind of help me with shit and assist me and give me his best input on what he thinks is best for my situation. So one of the first things he recommended when I got eggs was putting them inside of a sim container. Andrew, you've used sim containers for how long now?
As long as I've known John, which I think is 2014. I mean, the product I believe came out in 2009. So since 2014, and haven't really switched to anything else unless I'm out of sim containers, but that very rarely happens. So thank you to John and Alex over at Sim.
And if you could just kind of tell the people what have you hatched out of a sim container, as far as snakes, lizards, what all have you hatched out?
Anything egg related that I've had, mostly dwarf monitors and different snakes, mostly pythons, in particular locality specific reticulated pythons, children's pythons, clutch of ball pythons. I'm trying to think a friend's clutch of rat snakes. I mean, and trying to think, but yeah, really anything egg related, I've put it in a sim and I've had relatively good success with.
Now, I do have to ask you. We had a shout to what is going on? Okay, shout to Mike's monitors. I had Mike's monitor last week, and he mentioned something about putting certain monitor eggs in a smaller sim box. How you shouldn't do that. Like it's recommended to put monitor eggs in an XL. What's your recommendation as far as putting monitor eggs in what size sim box?
I really think it comes down to also your incubator itself, and depending on where you have it, depending on where you are in the country, there's different barometric pressures, humidity, and temperature change. So that does have a lot to affect with the eggs, and it also depends what it is you're hatching. Some egg species are a bit more sensitive than others. I've done both, really just depending on what I had in the circumstance of the eggs being laid at the time. So I have hatched them in both. So I can't really say one over the other, but they both work, and I just do what kind of fits best for the circumstance of that current situation.
But highly recommended by both, you would say.
I've used both. I've hatched animals in both. So
hell yeah! Shout out to John. Shout out to Alex, doing big things, and they also have an amazing monitor game. So make sure you go give them a follow on Instagram. Good hanging out with them too. That was a great time last night.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Steven and Ashley over at Focus Cube Habitats, Flex in Texas. Hopefully, I get to see you guys in Arlington. But yeah, guys, PVC built enclosures, built out of the state of Texas, and yeah, really awesome stuff. They got custom designs going. I have some stuff in store that I can't wait to get over here and whatnot. But I don't know. Let me ask you guys this: if money was not an option, what would you guys and you wanted to keep monitors indoors, right? And you guys could just be straight up. What's your recommendation compared, with the PVC built monitor enclosure versus like a wood one? Like, what do you guys feel is probably more like what would last longer or whatnot in your guys' opinion?
Personally, I've only used PVC cages for the dwarf monitors, and I've never done any of the larger species in anything other than custom wood enclosures.
Right.
So I don't really have any insight as far as a lizard on a larger scale, but I know you guys have been using the PVC enclosures, so I'm curious to see on a long-term scale how it plays out.
Well, what's nice about the PVC compared to the wood is I was one how it is compared to the wood where wood is porous and truly you can never fully disinfect it. Whereas PVC is not that case. PVC is a lot lighter. And I guess if you're a professional woodworker, you might be able to make a pretty damn nice cage. Generally speaking, I feel like the PVC enclosures are going to look a lot better, be a lot more presentable. Especially like with white PVC, the light reflects off it really well, just creating this great display for your lizard. So I'd say, for me, we're about to modify a lot of our enclosures with PVC for our monitors, especially in an indoor setting, in a dry climate. Absolutely, I would say PVC all day.
Hell yeah. Well, shout out to Steven, shout out to Ashley, and shout out to anyone going to Arlington in a couple weeks.
Yes,
we'll talk
sir.
about that in just a minute. But yeah, shout out to Jesse and the entire Freedom Breeder crew. Stainless steel racks made out of the United States. Fuck, man. I hate that I keep saying this, but I don't have any Freedom Breeder racks. I've been around a lot of them. I've been around Stevens and Desiree's Freedom Breeder racks. They have rodent Freedom Breeder racks that they just got, freshies. Kind of tell us a little bit about the rodent Freedom Breeder racks that you just got in.
Yep. So we, over the course of the last 6 months, we got 13 new Freedom Breeder rodent racks. Basically, we replaced the enclosures in which the rats breed. We had some homemade ones before that were, frankly, just not really built to last. Where with Freedom Breeders, I mean, these things, they last forever.
And hold their value, right?
I mean, how I think everyone knows the wait times what they've been like on these type of racks. So they definitely hold their value in the long run. The new stainless steel product, same way, where those racks are going to last a very, very long time. If we have rodent racks that have lasted as long as they have, the reptile racks are damn near bulletproof. I mean, I would assume quite literally too. But
right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, shout out to Jesse. Shout out to the Freedom Breeder crew, leading the industry when it comes to stainless steel racks, man.
Absolutely.
110%. Leading the industry and being fucking one of the most player YouTubers, fucking ball python keepers. Good looking guy, man, altogether. But either way, man, this guy's motivated me just like the two guys next to me has. But this goes, me and Miguel go way back. We started, ball pythons together in a sense, not like business wise, but just like following on Instagram. But God, man, you guys need to go check him out. If you guys have not seen his productions, what he has going on with these ball pythons, and you're into ball pythons, then you're sleeping on yourself. I'm telling you right now. But more importantly, man, the guys is all about having a fucking good time, enjoying life. So go give him a follow on Instagram. You can see what that's all about. Shout out to the entire AEP team, Tina, Jesse. You guys are amazing, man. Thank you so much for supporting me, and can't wait to hang out with you guys soon. I do have something scheduled with Miguel this year for an in-person podcast, which is going to be our round 2 finally, but fuck, I can't wait. It's going to be sick. And dude, another breeder sponsor, man, and I know you guys will know who this is. Shout out to Alan of Amazing Basins. I had Robin Markland on. Shout out to Robin Markland from the Reptile Report. But, obviously Robin's seen a lot, and, he has seen a lot of different type of breeders, and he basically said the one-of-a-kind breeders, like the shoo-ins, are ones who are breeding Basins. Just because it's not fucking easy. I mean, you guys know. I mean, honestly, Andrew instilled the passion of Basins in me when he got Benny. I'll never forget. Andrew has an Ed Marino Basin named Benny, right?
Oh yeah.
And that he's a 2018. You got him
20 end of 2017, early 2018.
Wow.
I have to look back at the photos on this. It's been a while. He's been with me a couple of years.
But Andrew, you the way you kind of broke down Basins to me back then, kind of realized how passionate you are about these snakes. Kind of tell us about your what your idea is with the Basins and how you feel about them.
It's definitely a long-term game. It's definitely something that really, on a spectrum of investment wise, it's not the most affordable snake, but if it's something that if you can have the money to afford, it's definitely a snake that I 100% recommend getting. If not, Northern Emeralds are another great exception, but I highly recommend finding a breeder. Don't buy wild caught imports. It's definitely something I don't recommend going through.
Right.
But as far as keeping them as a whole, they're just on a whole different level. Just far as other than the snakes that I keep, they're very simplistic as far as what they need. I mean, most snakes are for the most part, but if there was ever a snake that I could really go back in time and really focus on in comparison to the route that I did go would be arboreals, in particular northerns and Amazon basins. Just fits my lifestyle and the way that I'd like to be able to do things, and they don't require as much space as some of the other things that I have, so I'd be able to keep more of them. So
Who were you talking to? I know last night was kind of blurry, man. It was amazing. But who were you talking to last night? And you said if you could start. Oh, Tim. You're talking. Shout out to Tim, the home Tim,
Oh, yeah.
Emeralds,
Mhm.
Emeralds
Tim
213. Tim Parks, our boy. But you're talking to Tim, and you're like, if you could kind of redo things, you would just have a room full of basins or emeralds, right?
Without a doubt. I mean,
And
just-
what it just kind of tell us why. Like, why would you? And because you've worked with so much, Andrew, and you're still passionate about a lot. But if you could go back and just pick and do that, why would that be the case?
in particular for me, it's just something about arboreal snakes that really sit well with me, and just something that moves me. And in all honesty, I like to do, as much as I love my animals and spending time with them, I like to do other things, and just being able to not have to worry, and knowing that the maintenance and care is a lot less when set up correctly in comparison to example, a reticulated python that is just always on the move, always looking for food. Has a much faster digestive system, so requires a lot more consistent maintenance. And it's also a snake that you can't just leave with anyone unless you have someone that is comfortable working with an animal like that. So for the most part, the emeralds just kind of sit there, and as long as it's during the daytime, usually even someone that doesn't have the most amount of snake experience can help out with very basic maintenance, which is usually just keeping up with fresh water and other than if they defecated. But yeah, their maintenance is just rather fitting to anyone that wants to be able to do other things than just be I guess you could say, I don't want to say a
Agenda,
slave to
right.
your reptiles, but because it's not really the case,
Well,
but definitely a more of a commitment.
Well, I think what you're trying to say too is like, no matter what life hits you with, like you're going to be able to at least find a way to maintain a lot more arboreal snakes versus big snakes and fucking ball pythons. And especially if you need someone who has no experience to help you, because I mean, shit, you just went through that this weekend. You had someone who just started kind of being trained around snakes probably like a week ago, right? Like just as like a backup plan to help you out in case you need anything.
In all honesty, I think when keeping reptiles, a lot of people don't take into consideration once you have a collection that reaches a certain size that, and it's usually most of the times when keeping animals in a private collection, it's usually just one individual that is taking care of it. If you are fortunate enough to have other people around you, that's a blessing within itself. But if it's just you, and once you reach a certain number of animals, and God forbid something happens, whether if you get sick or you have to leave the state or leave wherever you are, and just knowing that you have someone to count on to be able to take care of your animals, because if not, it becomes a very stressful situation, and will definitely make you question things when you have X number of animals and you have no one to be able to help you.
Right. Now, I mean, Steven, real quick, you're sitting on a pair and you actually have some merino stock as well, right?
Yes, sir.
And how's that going for you?
Lovely.
I mean, for
Good
the most part,
animals.
they're slow growers, right? I mean, it's just kind of just
Yeah.
it's just a maintaining thing with them, right? I mean,
It's maintaining and not rushing.
Yeah, slow and
That's
steady.
not
That's
rushing.
really it. Like you especially with food, you can't push them past what they're, I guess, naturally supposed to consume.
Right.
There's overdoing it, there's underdoing it, but
There's a happy medium.
yeah, once you find that spot, it's just, if you don't have the patience for it, and then I guess you gotta probably take a step back and analyze why you're doing this in the first place. But if you have that patience, I mean, I don't need to breed them to love walking into the room and just seeing them every day. There's a reason why they have the kind of esteem behind them they do, and similarly why they command the price tag they do, is they're just, I mean, truly some of the most beautiful reptiles in the entire world.
Right.
Like, especially the line bred basins, particularly the Ed Merino stock, and then derivatives of his lineage. I mean, there's not many cases to be made for reptiles that just visually look better than a really, really beautiful Amazon basin.
Yep. Well, shout out to Alan at Amazing Basins. I mean, you're doing a hell of a job, bro. And like I said, not too many people are producing basins. And it looks like, knock on wood, no, Andrew's somebody who doesn't like to count anything until he actually physically sees a snake. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we've been talking to Alan pretty closely, and rooting for you, bro. 2022 is gonna be your year, man. Shout out to Alan. Go give him a follow. Amazing Basins. And then yeah, man, like I said, shout out to Rami and the Reptile Super Show. What an amazing time this weekend. You killed it, bro. I mean, with the circumstances as far as with COVID and everyone having to get validated to show their shots or whatever, I think it still went smoothly. I mean, that's a lot to fucking manage, having to verify vaccinations and getting a wristband, and they pulled it off, man. So
and I think there's some credit to be given that they even went through with the show in the first place.
Yes, 100%.
Despite all the barricades that were put up to really
stop us.
Halt the event before it even started. So really a lot of credit to them for going through with it and putting on a great show.
Yep. And then shout out to Bob Ashley, Brian Potter, NARBC.
Yes,
God
sir.
damn it, man. And listen, these two shows are just amazing on their own level. I mean, you got the West Coast shows, and then you have to me, I feel like overall the country's best show, and that's going to be anywhere NARBC's at, Arlington, in a couple weeks. How do you guys feel about Arlington, man? I cannot wait to tap back into Texas.
I mean, Arlington, for me personally, it's you get to see all of our Texas friends. With how crazy our lives are, the animals and stuff, getting away is not the easiest thing. So, that typically twice a year, being able to go to Arlington is great. Hanging out with people like Patrick and Bill Stiegel, Mark Hager, Loveland Warren drives in, Ari, Quetzal. I mean,
the whole crew.
I could name people all night, but the crowd in Texas is so strong, and there's such a positive community where everyone is supporting each other, and a lot of love going around. So it's a great environment to be in. I just from like the social side of things, I would probably say that Arlington's my favorite show. Like,
are you just saying because of the way you handle barbecue? Because I've seen you eat, bro. You got, man, okay. We'll talk about the way how Steven eats in a bit, but goddamn, I will say you do know how to pick the best cuts, and you do eat a lot when we go eat it in Texas.
All I know is when I'm in Texas, I just give Patrick the reins, and he takes care of it, and we always eat well. So,
and Patrick kind of dropped the ball last time, but day by day. Listen,
I don't think I was there.
Yeah, you weren't. Cannot wait to kick it with all you and Bill. It's going to be going down Friday night. Special invite only. Barbecue at the Stiegel compound. Oh my God.
Stiegel Resort.
My bad.
Stiegel Resort.
Get it right.
My bad. Get it right, idiot. But guess what? I have the invitations, bitch. But yeah, guys, cannot wait. It's going to be amazing. Bill, you're a good guy. It's going to be fun times. US Arc, let's go, man. Start talking about it, man. I mean, especially if you're new. I know a lot of you new guys come to this channel and check it out. And if you happen just to skip through this part, you're fucking up, man. US Arc is something that you need to implement with all your research with reptiles. It comes with the package. And that's because you have idiots out there trying to keep us from fucking keeping things that we love, things that keep us sane. At the end of the day, go down a link below, become a member. And if you can't, just talk about US Arc. Share it on your stories. Fuck, if you're all about your sticker swap, then fucking throw US Arc under there too. It's not that hard. But guys, word of mouth is key, man. So please go join US Arc. I really like the new US Arc logo too. I need to get one of those shirts. I saw some sick ass US Arc shirts. One lady, I think her name was Vanessa. She had a polo on. I think the polo was pretty hard, not gonna lie. But Phil Goss, thank you so much for everything that you do, man. I cannot wait to see you at Arlington, and cannot wait for the next US Arc party, auction party. It's gonna be sick. Let me just say real quick, tonight's episode, Smoke Session, is brought to you by my boy 702 Serpents. My boy. Okay, I don't really know too many Vegas cats, but this guy's from Vegas. I'm gonna give him a shout out. It's my boy right there. 702 Serpents. Sick ass shirt. Thanks for the shirt, bro. Hell yeah. Okay, hold on. All right. Yeah, sick ass shirt, dog. But honestly, want to know what I really love? The weed. This guy gave me some joints. We're gonna smoke all this. I got some dark triangle cured rosin batter.
Ooh.
Steven?
Jeez,
No, you don't touch none of this.
Dude.
This is gonna be me and Andrew. But dude, honestly,
I'm
thank
good.
you. What, you don't want to know that, do you, Steven?
I'll watch you guys. Enjoy yourself.
And that's fucked up. Whoever scarred this guy, I'm really mad at you, because we could have been great smoking partners, but now Steven will never smoke ever again. And that pisses me off. It's all good, man. Not everyone meant to smoke. My dad's awesome. He don't smoke. So respect. You are a gangster in your own way. With the scrubs. And let's see. Hold on. What else was I going to? Oh, yeah. So go give my boy 702 Serpents a follow. Patreon member all day, every day. Dude, what's up with the early birds? I'm so sorry, guys. You guys are all up in.
I don't know if it's quite early birds anymore. It's
I know.
half hour
Half in. But let's see. Okay, we have a homegirl Jessica, Hair Hollow Farm. What is good? Thanks for tapping in. Barber J. We have Lars is fucking actual barber.
Yeah.
Barber lines up Lars.
Very
is it?
rare.
that he does.
Shout out to Jay. Cannot wait to hang out with you in March, man. Jay's gonna be going to Tinley. And yeah, he's supposed to be picking me up from the airport. I don't know. Actually, no, you're good, bro. Don't worry. I'm not.
Go well, man.
I heard Steven has. I don't know if you want to mention what kind of car you have, but I mean, he has a Kia Sophia and he's picking me up in it, and I cannot wait. Dude, Jason, thank you so much for being a homie. Thanks for tapping in. I appreciate you. Shane Henderson, what is good? Thanks for tapping in. 1776, Big Mike, what is good? Patreon member all day, every day. Big T Exotics, what is good? Ray Anna Reptiles, what is good? Matthew Summers, what is good, Matt? Good times yesterday.
What a guy.
What a guy. What a guy. Go get my homie Matt Summers a follow on Instagram. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. What's up, Aurora Exotics? Patreon member all day, every day. Go get it. Genetics. What is good? Triple G in the building. The homie Angel Reptile Club in the building. Jay Hendo in the building. All Patreon members, man. This is amazing. What is good? Dennis, the Serpent Smiths. Tomorrow, new breeder on the block. We have my boy Dennis from the Serpent Smiths. Motherfucker knows how to shoot. He took me to a shooting range, and I shot a fucking 500 what was it? 500 Magnum? I don't know, bro, but it was like almost like a 50 caliber, and it fucking like blew my face like back into orbit. Do you like guns, Steven?
I grew up in one of the most anti-gun places in like the world. So
Chirac?
Yeah. I don't know much about them. Nothing against them. All about guns, but yeah, I just my knowledge is very focused in life, and that just never really happened.
I'm not gonna front.
All about it.
I'm not gonna front. Guns scare the shit out of me. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't like guns. I'm just not. Like, I know my house need them. Like, you should be protected, but like, motherfuckers got safes full of guns, which I don't know. I hope to God I'm not gonna regret.
Full of snakes. The fuck.
Yeah, but shit hits the fan. My snakes aren't gonna fight for me. My snakes don't give a fuck. You're dead. I'm done. Capone might fight for me, but God, I don't know about. I'm just saying. There's, I do have homies out. I do have some homies out there that have, probably somebody watching here has a safe full of fucking guns, and that's kind of scary. But I fuck with you too. Anyways, Dennis is one of them. But yeah, Dennis, thank you so much for tapping in. Wise guy, what is good? Forget about it. Thanks for tapping in. Oh, here's the homie Dom, 702 Serpents. We're about to smoke tough to your weed, man. Appreciate you so much. Lizard Morph, Australia in the fucking building. What is good, bro? I have this guy coming on the podcast too. Works with monitors in Australia. Australia keepers or herpers. Can I call him a herper?
I mean, you can keep natives in Australia.
That's tight. Jason, what is good? Thanks for tapping in. Blazing, Blue Tongue, what is good? Tasty, Hill Herp, Respect, what is good? Josh, what is good? Deviant Glass, this fool actually blows glass, custom glass. I need you to actually make Desiree a custom piece, like a cold-blooded cafe piece, put it on my tab. But yeah, she actually wants one. What is good, Luke? Thanks for tapping in. And we're going to end it on, who have I not? Let's see. I think that's everyone. Oh, here, the homie D's nuts. What is good, Dylan? Thanks for tapping in. Big keeper in the building. How you doing, man? Thanks for tapping in. All right, guys. So you guys know that you guys know that I do more podcasts now coming out this year.
Yes.
Sunday is primarily about the monitors. It's about the fucking lizards, which obviously you guys are two of my biggest mentors when it comes to that. So I want to talk a little bit about the monitor game, man. Well, first off, I want to talk about how your monitors are doing because, if we can start with Andrew, you work with dwarf monitors with experience working with big monitors at an early stage in your life. But right now, breeding wise, project wise, it's all about the dwarf monitors, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt. I think if people that don't keep them realize that they truly do everything that all the larger lizards do, it's just a little bit better on a size wise when you want to keep more than just one or two.
Now, I mean, I was going to bring this up later, but like when people come into this hobby and they see like somebody having the best version of something, and I'm just saying, like, for instance, somebody with no experience looking at a Bell's face or looking at a Croc monitor, and you have all these other species of monitors that you could work with, but somebody who kind of wants to jump up the gun and go straight to there. Not really recommended, right? Because there's so many things you could learn with the smaller ones to see if you're an actual fit for a big monitor, because there's not much room for mistakes when you're working with the big monitor. And you guys both know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the larger monitors are definitely overplayed to be these great pets. And don't get me wrong, they're incredible animals that deserve a lot of respect. But the size requirements and just what they need and how long they live, the average person isn't willing to make that form of commitment. And most of the time, life has its ups and downs and brings changes. And when you have a 6 foot lizard that needs almost a half a room, if not a full room size enclosure, it's very hard to accommodate that. And that's something that just the dwarf monitors really can you can have and provide and give them a great great life without really having to change too much around you regardless of your circumstances.
I would even go as far to say with the bigger monitors, it's honestly something that you probably should have some sort of mentorship experience with before
Without
keeping
a
on
doubt.
your own. I feel like that type of discussion is pretty common with venomous snakes, but it's not nearly as common with large monitors, which, may not be deadly. I mean, freak accidents can happen, but extreme physical injury is not necessarily an uncommon thing. If you work a large monitor the wrong way, even like water monitors can, debilitate you really, especially like a really big male. So, I would say the couple steps on getting there. One would ideally be finding somebody to teach you how to do it, work with their animals, but then the dwarf monitors and then into mid-sized monitors, such as like mangroves or tree monitors or something like that. There's just kind of steps you need to take, as with anything really. But I feel like with monitors, especially with like Niles and water monitors, people see either others on like social media or YouTube with very calm individuals and just assume that's the norm. I don't remember my other point, but I think that's one of the biggest problems. Or the other point, yes, is the price tag. Sometimes they're fairly inexpensive, especially like the wild caught Nile monitors that you see frequently. Or lower end
$30 special.
Yeah. So as with everything, you need to know what you're getting yourself into ahead of time. But I think almost, more with monitors and other things, particularly with snakes, they're easy to accommodate. They can, not that this is a good thing, but sustain a lot more neglect than a lizard. And are also generally much lower maintenance. These big monitors, I mean, to a degree, it's almost like having a dog. Just with the amount of care they have, I guess, without necessarily the emotional component to it that just takes, a lot of your time. But, I almost feel like comparing snakes and monitors in the same kind of discussion, you really can't. It's a totally different ballgame. We have a very large collection of animals, probably about numbers wise, about 10% of that is taken up by monitors, but it probably takes up a third to half of our actual time between the monitors and the crocodilians. Just they take a lot of time and effort.
And kind of going back to what Steven was saying, a lot of these larger lizards that you are seeing online are in many instances not being cared correctly and are most of the time very cold individuals. And the one thing that most people get misinterpreted by is seeing these lizards that seem very tolerable and social and interactive, but in many cases are just cold and just getting by in the instance of what they're in. And a lizard that is kept properly and has proper temperature gradients is a lot less tolerable regardless of instance to instance. I mean, there's animals that are good with one-on-one interaction, but I haven't been around many lizards, even lizards that are tolerable, that like to be around a large social setting without freaking out, especially one that has a proper temperature gradient to go off of by.
Now, I mean, you guys could probably both agree that if somebody comes into this industry, getting into a big monitor and not really doing their research, but kind of doing the kind of research that's like, I'll just go to the pet store and kind of like, get their advice, basically not going to an actual breeder and getting their kind of advice, right? So basically, if you kind of have that kind of person, let's say they have multiple monitors, 9 out of 10 times they're not keeping that monitor right. And what I mean by that, and this is the reason why I know this, because I've had long talks with John, as far as what kind of bulbs people use, the bulbs at the pet stores and whatnot are basically cooking the monitor. You know what I mean? Like to a certain sense, or doing something where it's not good for them, from what I remember John telling me. I mean,
Not only that, I think it's really just as far as a keeping standpoint. When keeping these animals correctly, it's just the reptile lights that are provided in the industry are very sensitive and honestly are relatively expensive and do break easy. So it's something, when you are keeping these animals the right way, it's something that can get rather cost effective, and there are other means of doing so. But I know Ryan McVeigh is focusing on kind of changing that. So shout out to
sure
VidTech.
is. Look at that, baby. LED, UBV, UCVZ, VVZZ, TT. I'm just kidding. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've had long talks with breeders about them saying you don't need it, like, meaning they're not gonna die. But man, you should see how much they like it. I'm dead ass serious. I had Zoomed, or these long prong fucking UBV lights that were like coming out, and I never really saw them underneath it much. And then I fucking decked out both monitor enclosures with these VidTech bulbs, and they fucking love kicking it underneath it. I don't know what it is, man. And I'm somebody who pays a lot of attention to my animals, and I'm not just trying to fucking ramp up what Ryan's doing, but I'm just saying, from what I'm seeing, from what I could tell, this shit's legit as fuck. And if it's like seeing your animal enjoy a certain rodent or some shit, I don't know, you're gonna want to continue to give it to it. I don't know.
I would say the greatest comparison to make right now is kind of what happened, or what has been happening with like dogs and cats.
Right.
I saw some like headline or something that was saying something about like the new age thinking about pet nutrition is like putting some of the big old kibble companies out of business. It's like, oh, poor corporations, the pet owners actually want to do right by their animals and not essentially feed them garbage. There's a difference between what an animal needs to survive and what an animal needs to thrive. And in reptiles, unfortunately for the longest time, that really just hasn't been discussed a whole lot.
Right.
And I think it comes from the evolution of what we're doing to begin with, where, it's still a fairly new trade, especially when you compare it to like domestic pets that have been around for centuries and centuries and centuries. Where, the first struggle was, how do we even get these things to live past a week and eat, nonetheless actually reproduce multiple generations. But the topic, of discussion really should also include that. What, how do we give this animal and its ideal life? I think one thing that's kind of overlooked and honestly kind of sad, when you're asked what's the lifespan of said species, no one really can give an answer.
Because it's not confirmed.
I just don't think that, personally, and I don't think this is some groundbreaking thought process, but I don't think we as a community that keeps reptiles truly have any idea what the life expectancy is on any of this stuff. Just on the basis of the care hasn't been pushed forward. There hasn't been, hardly enough innovation or even thought put towards it. There have been like 60-year-old ball pythons and stuff. Why can't all ball pythons live 60 years old? Like, when's the last time you saw an adult green iguana in captivity, or an adult Nile monitor, adult savanna monitor, adult sulcata tortoise?
And mind you, these animals are being imported in by the hundreds of thousands
Constantly.
every single year. So to put in perspective, just on what we see at the local shows that we have back home, you'll see 200-300 lots of savanna and Nile monitors from spring to summer, and those shows happen every other month. So it's pretty insane as far as on a number standpoint, what these animals are being brought in and how few are actually seeing even the early stages of adulthood. Most don't even get to that point.
And really, this is all in the pursuit of the holy dollar. People needing to make a living off of what they're doing, and with the short-sighted mindset of making your margin on whatever you're doing and moving on and moving volume. Where I truly believe in the long run, somebody could make a living breeding savanna monitors, and there are $20-$30 ones available at a show, but you charge $300-$400 for your captive bred one that is actually going to live a full life, isn't full of parasites, is already eating the food that we feed it in captivity. You know, that long-sighted mentality, putting the animals first, I personally feel in the long run is the only way that anybody who is doing this, not even necessarily for a living, but, you know, to sustain itself, to generate income, I think it's really the only way it's going to work. And generally speaking, I feel like we really need to just kind of focus a bit more on, I guess, that just kind of the mindset of what we're doing. Like the ethics and the morals behind a lot of this, because there's a lot of great stuff going on in the reptile world, but
if you're paying attention, there is. But like, if you're not doing the homework that you should be doing and just jumping into things, then that's the problem.
And that, or following and taking advice from people who
Influencers,
generally speaking. But you know, there's a lot of people out there that are giving out information that really in the end is detrimental to the animals. You know, so it's kind of doing your own research, listening to people who have authority, and then kind of drawing the best conclusion, listening, you know, watching your animals, observing their behavior. And, you know, at the end of the day, having the mentality of one who's not committed to being right. Like, be wrong. This is science. It's always evolving.
right.
If you're never wrong, then you're just not trying, because you are wrong. You just aren't accepting it. And there's nothing wrong with being incorrect. There's something wrong with being incorrect, not acknowledging it, and not trying to improve for the sake of nothing other than the lives of the animals.
Right.
All right, end rant.
No, so well, now I'm going to bridge this to this point, because as much as this advice is great, you got people who don't give a fuck. Like, they got money, they found the monitor they want, Croc, lace, whatever, and they're gonna get it, right? So let's just say to this individual who's gonna get what he wants anyways, kind of break down some stuff they need to be prepared for. And like, you know, Andrew, you've helped both of us kind of dial in some things that we should do in our enclosure, especially with having a female, you know, because it gets to a certain point where nesting is important. All these things come into factor, right? So what are some things you should have someone consider if they're just wanting to get a big lizard, if they're like, you know, I feel like I could do it, you know, because you have people out there who will listen to an expert or listen to somebody with a lot of great advice and still feel like, I got this. So for that individual, what can you prepare them for?
I don't know if there's anything that I could really say that could prepare them for something like that. I think
She don't want to be saved, don't save her.
There you go. That's I think we could just leave it at that. But
my God,
going back to that, I truly believe that someone that's coming into this and wanting to keep an animal that has the very easiest capability of hurting them on a real serious extent, I mean, you're just putting yourself in a situation that is avoidable, but also at the end of the day, I mean, if you're choosing not to follow the basic information that is provided relatively all over the internet, I think that's just a form of ignorance. At that point, you're just choosing to not give what the animal needs.
It's kind of comparing to having 55, 53 people in the live, now 59, and there's only 32 likes.
Oh my God.
Guys, real quick.
The show's over.
These are my fucking boys, and they're tapping in from the East Coast, and that's fine. Some people forget. Actually, I didn't mention anything in the beginning, so my bad. If you guys are just now tapping in, do all of us a favor and hit that like button. It would really mean a lot if you hit that like button. And I have to say this nice, or YouTube will dock my ass.
And subscribe.
Hit the notification bell. But okay, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, okay, because Andrew, you know, it's funny, like, you know, you guys both know some of our acquaintances who knew that I was going to get into a big monitor, really wasn't too thrilled about it. And, you know, after I think about it, you know, after I dig through the surface, you know, maybe they just had concerns, and I understand that. Maybe they're just like, fuck, dude, like, you know, and I even talked to Andrew, and Andrew even, like, he even recommended a dwarf species, because, you know, it's nothing about like, oh, you're not good enough, or you're not, you know, it's the fact that the kind of mistakes that you can make with something this fucking, I don't want to say deadly, but I mean, it could get deadly. Like, things could get bad with the fucking monitor.
It's not even really that. It's just more what that animal needs to be able to thrive.
Right.
It's just on such a larger scale, and not everyone has the capability of providing proper caging, proper lighting, and proper diet. I mean, these animals eat a lot more than even big snakes, if you will. Just their metabolism is so much faster, and they're just an animal that just, when kept correctly, require a lot, and it definitely gets costly. And on a long-term basis, it's like almost, yeah, I mean, like having a child, if you will.
Right. Now, let me ask you guys this. Well, actually, Andrew, let me ask you this, because you do have experience with bigger monitors. You are now working with dwarf monitors, but if it came to a point where space isn't an issue, or you just have the capabilities to maybe working with big monitors, would you work with big monitors again?
Well, I do also work with lace monitors as well. I have some smaller individuals that I'm raising up, but
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
those are really just my dream lizard for me. So kind of getting the opportunity. I've been able to work with them for a couple of years, but to be able to raise small individuals has been something I've been wanting to do for a number of years.
And I don't want to dog or fucking shit on anything with the Bell's phases, because I got Bell's phases, but you guys both have a feeling that's more leaning towards normal laces. Not that you don't like Bell's, but you guys really fuck with normal laces.
Been around both. It's just my personal preference. I mean, they're both incredible animals at the end of the day.
What is it that you like the most about a normal lace, and what's your certain type of normal lace you like? Because they come in different types of like darknesses. Yeah, right.
And striping. I don't know, just something about just a semi-black lizard with stripes just fits me. It's my taste.
What about you, Kush?
I mean, that, and especially a lizard that looks like that with the size they can achieve.
Oh yeah.
Especially when they have like that, powder to medium blue in the face. Their underbelly literally is striped like a zebra, black and white. I mean, I love both of them. We have a pair of Bells and a normal female. If I had to choose between the two, I prefer normal, but I prefer to not choose between the two. So
yeah, have them both.
Laces are incredible.
Thanks for my shirt, by the way, Jacob. My boy Jacob got me this shirt. It's a Bells. Thanks. That's it.
Sick Bells.
Bells. Okay, but
Awesome
listen,
lizards.
let me ask you guys this. Recently, I've talked to both you guys about my change in plans with keeping monitors outside and now wanting to do inside. I really want to kind of break this down for some people on why I'm doing this. Things do happen, but like, let's be honest, guys. What are the chances of you finding a monitor if it gets out of an enclosure outdoor? Like,
I mean, you hope that
You gotta be fast.
there's a Facebook list post of like,
somebody looking out, basically.
who lost their iguana? Or like, freaking animal control has some like their lost dog list. Dog, Croc monitor, dog. Like, so.
Well, because Steven, you had your green tree monitors, or you did at summertime, you have outdoor enclosures, but you brought them back in the winter, right?
Yeah.
How do they act out? Like, did they have a big switch when you put them out there? Like, what can you tell?
Well, the animals that we acquired and put in the outdoor enclosure went right into the outdoor enclosure when we acquired them.
Was it already summertime?
Yeah, it was in the middle of summer, so they went right outdoors, and we obviously brought them inside for the winter and kept them inside just so that there wasn't that kind of stressor of change of scenery multiple times a year, especially for stuff that we're breeding. But seeing them outside, how they were acting, it was incredible. Just their movement patterns changed with where the sun was, and I feel like they acted a lot more naturally out there. They're alert, but I think there was just a different level to it with that natural sunlight. We obviously had to take precautions and make sure that there was no way that animal was going anywhere, but a little more stressful keeping them outside.
No, Andrew, if you could do either or, Andrew, you would do inside, right? Like, even if you could keep them outdoor, what's your opinion on it?
If I could have it my way, I would have it half indoor, half outdoor enclosure. Yeah, just
like the zoos.
Yeah,
right?
it's something like that.
That really is. I mean, if you have the ability to do it,
do it, and just have a like latch door.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah,
because I mean, being able to control temperature is going to be in your best interest versus being somewhere.
And also enrichment.
If they have the option, they're gonna, they know what to do. But what's great about that compared to like what we have is, you open a door and then now they have the option. They're not pulled out of their indoor cage into the outdoor cage, vice versa. They're tracking their smells in back and forth. Like, it's all one enclosure, even if they're not able to access it for part of the year. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that would be the best way to do it possible. But man, is it difficult. So you really, you
need to live in the right environment too.
And you need to make sure wherever you're living, you ain't leaving there, because who's in buying indoor-outdoor monitor cage in the house?
All right, what do you think about this, Andrew? Shout out to Dylan, but do you think Varanus Gillini could be the next big thing as far as dwarf monitor goes?
I mean, they've been bred for a number of years. I mean, they've been bred since, I believe, the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just, honestly, they're super prolific. They come in, I mean, people produce them every single year, but it goes, from what I've seen, just people will produce them consistently and then they kind of drop off and then you don't see them for a couple of years. But for the most part, they are relatively available within the hobby if you do know who to ask.
Right. Now, Steven, how do you feel about a Croc monitor being out at the show yesterday? I didn't see this, but fuck.
Yeah, I didn't see this. I think I saw a video of it, but I didn't see it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, it really is just stuff like this is the reason why there just has to be so much infighting within the reptile community. Think about it from this perspective. How easy would it be for an animal rights organization or a government official that's anti-private sector animal keeping,
and they're probably there,
to see this image? And I witnessed this. This guy had this Croc monitor in his hand. Obviously, a very, very calm individual. Still a Croc monitor, still potentially the most dangerous lizard on the planet, and a good size one too. Holding it, not with the head extremely restrained, which if it's a calm animal, you probably don't want to restrain the head. You also probably don't want to have it at a show, but it was there, so now we got to roll with the punches. Talking to people, paying no attention to the animal, having it at the level of the heads of children and anyone's hand. Somebody could be looking at an acrylic, chomp. Oh no.
Slice.
Oh no, my finger. I mean, I'm permanently disabled because some idiot at a reptile show is holding a Croc monitor and acting like a teenager. Like, again, a perfect picture of almost everything that's wrong with what we're doing and why there's such a struggle to legitimize what we're doing. Is people treat this like, I mean, it's, I don't even know how to really describe it. It's just, don't give the animals the respect they deserve. And at the end of the day, if we can't pull that off collectively, then collectively we don't deserve these animals. So.
Even the calmest animals, I would never want to put an animal like that in that situation. You have to understand that there's thousands of people in there walking around. It's just, think about a wild animal just put in a room filled with people that all have access to touch it.
And the thing is, there's levels to this stuff, like a ball python. Cool. A bearded dragon. Cool. Like, I mean, having a Croc monitor like that, is almost like having a cottonmouth or a little copperhead. Oh, he's so friendly. He'll never bite anybody. Here, 8-year-old, hold my copperhead. Like, seriously, I mean,
not the move.
No, I mean, but truly, how different, how truly different is a Croc monitor versus a copperhead? I mean, copperhead is a venomous snake, but on the danger spectrum, I don't really consider that all that different.
If I had to pick one of the two to get bit by, I'm picking a copperhead.
Over what?
Over a Croc monitor?
Damn, venomous over a Croc? I guess that's right.
I mean, I know individuals that have been bit by them and kind of just waited it out and didn't really have any reaction. It just varies person to person.
What about a copperhead or a Komodo dragon?
Copperhead twice.
He said 2 times.
Utah hit me too. Damn, that's crazy. No, I mean, guys, that's what I'm trying to say here. It's like, because Andrew and Steven, you guys both said that, like, monitors can change up. Like, you can have this monitor that's pretty chill and you're raising it and, one switch into a new enclosure or one switch into a new environment, that monitor could fucking change up on you.
I don't know if you guys saw this. It was at John's table. We were just watching just what everyone was doing, and an individual that did not purchase this lizard at this show had probably about a 4-foot Dumerals monitor. And for the most part, I mean, not a species that's really commonly kept in the pet trade. I mean, even though they've been available for years, they're relatively calm. I think they're very underappreciated monitors. And he had this animal out and was swearing to everyone up and down that it was incredibly tame. And probably about 20 minutes into that conversation, that lizard started to get extremely stressed out. And he's like, I've never seen it act like this. And he was with his son, and they were having a really hard time restraining it. And that just kind of goes to show you, even the calmest lizards can get stressed in that form of environment. I mean, I would never bring any of my animals, I don't care how tame and tolerable they are. It's just not something I would want to put. I mean, it's stressful enough just me being there. Imagine an animal.
Yeah, I mean, and these animals aren't dogs.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
they're
They're
not.
Even dogs.
dog,
Even
yeah,
dogs get
even
stressed out in
dogs,
that
But I mean,
yeah.
type of
they're
situation.
naturally
Sure.
they're not social with people. They're tolerable people, and they can prefer the presence of people who do beneficial things for them.
Oh yeah.
I think especially with the monitors, like with Kilo, our big Croc monitor, if I can open her cage and she'll just come up to the front. Like, that's not necessarily the way I see it. Her like
Saying hi.
her craving attention, but it's
Right.
I know this person, and whenever they show up, something good happens. Either I get fed or sprayed, or I get shed picked off me or whatever. Like, this person is of benefit to me here. I'm favorable towards this person. In a setting like that, where their temperature parameters are off, they've been moved, they've been in a vehicle, bounced around in a bag, in a container, essentially just bewildered. There's certain animals for like educational shows at schools and whatnot that are more tolerable of that, and that's a very noble cause. But especially for anybody who was at the show this weekend, who saw this one table that they were parading their animals around. To me, I see that as more of just a personal vanity play, rather than a education on the animals. Drawing a crowd, charging for pictures, that isn't of any benefit towards the animals or the education of the public. That's just personal vanity and wanting to feel like a big shot. And like I keep saying, as long as that's your mentality, this isn't going to work. What we're doing here ain't going to work if personal vanity is prioritized over the well-being and success of the animals.
Now, nothing against to what Rami or Potter or any other show guy has in place, rules wise, but do you think maybe shows could come together and start implementing stricter rules?
I was kind of surprised that they even allow outside animals. If you're not a vendor, and in all honesty, you shouldn't be allowed to bring
I think
your pets to
I
these
think
shows.
to give the promoters the benefit of the doubt, there's such an insane amount that goes into running a reptile show.
Yeah, dude.
That
Fuck.
I could even see potentially something like that happening and the promoter not even being aware.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
because of just how hectic, especially like the Reptile Super Show or an NARBC, a really, really large show. A story that, a quick story, a while ago, just vending, a local show in Illinois. The vendor behind me, I saw they pulled out a mangrove snake, put it in a display, an unlocked display at that, for sale. In Illinois, it is illegal to own most rear fang venomous snake species without a permit. That's particularly difficult to acquire.
Right.
And definitely illegal to sell them. And, I'm kind of over here bewildered, first of all, that this person who is vending a show in Illinois, may not live in Illinois, has no idea of the legislation with potentially dangerous reptiles. It would be like bringing an alligator. Which they were asked at one point to put the animals behind the table, but even with something like that, putting them in a non-locked display, pulling them out by hand to show people, whether or not you want to put yourself in that sort of dangerous spot is your decision, but to subject people potentially not even aware of what this animal is to that, is just, it's a terrible look, and at the end of the day, just about as irresponsible as one can get. So I think a lot of these topics we're talking about kind of all come down to the same principle.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's applied to so many situations that we face on such a consistent basis. That unfortunately sometimes are perpetrated by some of the most followed and beloved people publicly in this hobby, just because you have a platform or a following or even a relatively positive history in the formation of what we're doing doesn't exempt you from being a jackass.
Well, you know what I don't like, Steven, is even if you have somebody who is leading the best example as an influencer, which with all no respect, no one's leading the perfect example at all, but whoever is doing the best at it still fucks with the ones who are the most piece of shit at it. And that's
the most unfortunate part.
Because why wouldn't somebody want to fucking check them and be like, yo, either get your shit together or I'm not going to fuck with you. But they won't because of the money.
Yeah.
The collaboration.
It really is sad. Like when I see somebody who I see is coming up in the game, as far as the media stuff goes, and they seem to be doing everything right. All of a sudden see a rattlesnake in their hands and the dude in the background, and you're doing your collabs, like all the respect in the world is gone for that person who sold their soul for their likes and their comments and their this or that and the other thing.
Right.
I the way I see it, I don't think anyone's ever done that the right way. The social media influencer, if you want to call it that, so to speak, kind of like the Steve Irwin model. Steve Irwin was an influence on everybody, but no one in their right mind is going to say what he did was responsible or a good idea or anything like that. Most of the time, was it extremely entertaining and inspiring? Absolutely, but he did some really, really reckless shit that nobody should replicate ever.
Right.
Even in stage scenarios. So I guess I would challenge almost anybody, if this is what you want to do, be the first one to do it with virtue and with nobility.
But okay, if you have somebody who's kind of newer to the industry and they're just picking up on some of these things, because you understand, like, some of the things that I saw on YouTube prior to meeting Forrest, prior to meeting you guys, I thought was like, fucking, wow, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's, if you're not really experienced keeper on why we keep snakes and what the whole purpose is, and you come in and you see this guy just on YouTube fucking just doing the most outlandish stuff, some of them might think, like, obviously this is okay. Why is he doing it? You know what I mean? But as you like dig deep and actually learn up, these guys are starting to realize, well, fuck, maybe these guys aren't the move, but in your guys' opinion, do you feel like somebody like that should be careful, like somebody new in this should be careful who they associate themselves with? You feel like that's important?
Oh, sure. But I think it's unfortunate that knowing who that right person is can be extremely difficult.
It's easy to get influenced by just what you're seeing online and likes and followers and
even some of the, in my opinion, some of the people who are the most revered in the hobby and looked up to, their truth is some amongst the darkest of anybody in this game.
Monsters.
People who are seen as heroes and leaders and idols are really truly the cancers of what we're doing, ruining everything for everybody and putting animals in jeopardy. It's kind of a gloomy prospect on all of this. But I guess find what inspires you, and with that inspiration, take it to not only kind of learning about the animals and the best husbandry and this and that and the other thing, learning about natural history, but spread that with others too. Even if you feel like your change isn't going to be heard or be of benefit, or not doesn't hit enough eyes and ears. It's what it's all we can do. All we can do is use a platform like we have this platform here. Anyone can have their platform. All it takes is some time and dedication, and if you're saying things that people want to hear, people will listen.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Well, Steven, let me ask you this. Well, both of you guys, because you guys both came into this industry super young. So that's not always easy for young, people. Okay, because you got to admit, young keepers who are like in this longevity wise is pretty rare. Like you don't really find too many young keepers who are like Andrew and Steven mentality, like already making plans when they're 14 with this shit, right? But what the fuck was I going with that? Hold on.
Maybe was it along the lines of like
God
trying to
damn it.
legitimize yourself as a young person in the hobby?
Oh, yes, thank you. Woo, Steven. That's a good man.
What a guy.
So that being said, it can be difficult. So it can be difficult for somebody
Oh,
who's
hell
more
yes.
experienced to take a young guy
Yeah.
serious, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Extremely.
It
but
was
but
very
that's
hard
not
growing up.
not always fair. But that's just the case. So what did you guys do to reach out for mentorship? Like, what are because Andrew, especially you're
Yeah,
tapped in.
I'll let Andrew go first.
You are
I've been
tapped
talking-
in with some
I've
of the
been talking
fucking
a lot.
best guys in the game, and they respect you just as much as you respect them. So what did you do to like gain relationships back then? Like,
I don't know if I did anything in particular or anything really special. Just have I guess prior research of the individual and kind of just pay attention to the animals that they work with. And obviously, I have some level of interest with the animals that they were working with, so I wanted to know as much as I could prior to, I guess, reaching out to anyone on that type of standpoint. But I don't know if I did anything in particular that would kind of change anyone's perspective of how to reach out to someone, but really just being nice and being open to listen and not being annoying, I guess, if that makes sense.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
I would say to kind of round it out in a thought. I'll say the same thing about like what Andrew said. I don't think I did anything in particular. Opportunities just fell into my
Yeah.
lap, but
And that's what happens if this is meant to be. They just land in your
but the
lap.
thing is, opportunities can fall into anyone's lap.
Yep.
And I would say,
Just like
90 out of 100, that opportunity is not realized.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Good point, dude.
One thing that when I was younger, and I, that's the reason why I knew where MJ was going with this question, is because I knew exactly, like he started saying, I'm like, I know exactly how I felt. Like, it wasn't all that long ago, and in the grand scheme of things for me, but like as a young person coming up in this, who want to be taken seriously, how do you separate yourself from the crowd of teenage idiots who want to free handle monocle cobras? And at the end of the day, that was just shutting up and listening.
Yeah.
I think,
And just showing your face.
yeah, I'll get on these podcasts and talk endlessly, and I'll get cut off because I'm saying too much. But really, like,
I never cut you
I
off.
didn't. Well, time and circumstance. I didn't really talk in this game until like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Like,
You didn't talk until Forrest died. When Forrest passed away, then you started talking.
I wasn't really allowed to talk on the old show, but
No, Forrest just didn't let you talk. He would always
exactly.
use the fucking
No,
just play button. You just he's
he
gone. He's
would
like,
not stop.
miss you, buddy. By the way,
But I was like 7, 8, 9 years old, just with people much older than me that otherwise didn't really have a reason to take me seriously. But I think when you come with that true passion and interest, and you come from a point of actually wanting to learn instead of trying to know everything off the jump, people whose respect you are seeking will respect you for that and actually be willing to give you their time, because at the end of the day, for any of us, this what we're doing is only sustainable when the new generation becomes interested in it.
yep. It all gets passed down.
If you shut out the person below you who's you 5 years ago, you 10 years ago, you 20 years ago, you're just screwing yourself over too. But the truth is, most of those people are not in it for the right reasons, or disrespectful, or bad at communicating, and will never really realize those opportunities because they can't get out of their own way.
Right.
Which is why, for me, I was just like, if someone's talking to me, I'm just going to shut up and listen, because at this point, and really ever, but especially when you're first getting into it, it's just, you need to soak up as much knowledge as possible. And, unless asked, I would generally say just like, don't present your opinion when you're not asked, because typically when you're younger and doing this, you're probably wrong, or you're just regurgitating information. So not to say that when you're a new reptile person, just go to a show and shut your mouth the whole time, but come from a place of humility and from a place of wanting to learn, and you'll end up being with the right people that that you need to be around to move forward in this.
And I also one other thing that I forgot to touch on, also supporting the individuals that you look up to. I think that was a
100%,
major
yeah.
part in getting noticed, as far as just spending money with those individuals and just believing and appreciating what they do was definitely a huge factor in getting noticed and them taking me a bit more serious and wanting to know
volunteering
more
your
about me.
time,
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
Just doing things because you're going to be paid back in perpetuity for it, paying your dues
And experiences.
Yeah, and not having that short-term mindset. If you're like, well, I can go to McDonald's and make $12 an hour, I can clean your snakes for 2 hours and make nothing. Okay, then cool, go make your $15 an hour. You're just not going to go anywhere in this animal world.
Right.
So
I think too, man, it's like everyone has certain people they vibe with, like, meaning like there's somebody out there who could probably help you the way you need to be helped. Like, you
need to be respectful in your communication.
I mean, you guys know I'm difficult to work with sometimes. But you guys know my true intention. Like, shut up. But you guys also put up with it, and you guys honestly have fucking worked with me a lot because you guys know my true intention. You guys know I really want it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I feel like, there's probably some other people out there who if they saw that side of me, probably wouldn't want to fuck with me. They probably wouldn't understand like my personality, where I'm coming from. So what I'm trying to say is, like, find people that you vibe with, man. Find people who are willing to fuck with you, because everyone's fuckable at one point. You know what I mean? You just got to find the person that fuck with you. That's it. Because, a lot of people ask me all the time, how'd you get connected with Cold Blooded Cafe and Miguel and blah, blah, blah. And like what you're saying earlier, things just land in your lap. And when opportunities happen, it's either meant to be or it's not. And I don't know. That's all I can really say about that. But
if the opportunity comes around, I think the first thing you hear from most people is, well, but I would, like, the book comes out where every excuse possible gets made. I remember like a month ago or so, I was listening to one of the Gary V podcasts where it was a clip from some live show.
Right.
And they had some kid on who was like wanting to start his like social media, such and such, and was starting a podcast. And Gary and the other guy who was on the show were asking him some questions, and they got to the point of like, okay, what's holding you back? And he's like, well, I'm just trying to get my setup. I got my mics and my cameras, and they're like, whoa, like, you don't want it. How are you talking to us right now? You're on a phone. Okay, there, you have your equipment. Is it the most professional in the world? No, but it doesn't fucking matter, because
you can still do something with it.
When you're just brand new, your presentation doesn't mean shit, because no one knows who you are. The content that you bring forward, the value that you bring to people, on a very basic level like that, is not any different based on how solid your production is, how good that picture is, your lighting, your audio quality. Obviously, when you're, we were talking to these mics, when you're at a level like this, there's an air of professionalism it brings. But when you're first starting out on things,
I didn't have this shit when I first started.
I mean,
you remember Unfiltered? All the fucked up episodes.
It was a nightmare.
It was terrible.
But the content was no different.
Yeah, it was good, and we still got the same compliments on those shows as we do like on shows like these.
The content was no different. And from a very basic business standpoint, if you already have your phone, you have no other means of income from what you're about to do, why would you spend $1,000 on a podcast setup when that podcast is losing you money, quite literally?
Or $1,000 on shirts
or whatever. I mean, really, like, when no one has a reason to listen to your podcast or buy your shirt or follow you or whatever, why would you put any effort into that when you need to be putting effort into
your fucking plan,
into yourself? Like, yeah. Why should anybody mess with me when they have no knowledge of who I am or what I do? Just, when I was 13, I was very lucky where I realized this whole Instagram thing is getting big. And I just started an Instagram page where I posted my reptiles from my job, and was just ahead of the curve with reptiles on Instagram. I put no money into that whatsoever. Yeah. It was literally just my phone and a free Instagram account and pictures of cool animals, figuring out the right hashtags to do and the right time of day to post, and it was still chronological. And then it was just natural growth from there.
Yeah.
Like that growth is no better with a professional podcast studio and a $2,000 camera and a logo and t-shirts and a website and this and that, the other thing. That doesn't affect it at all.
It all comes with time.
It comes with time
Everything
and
does.
authenticity. That's really it.
I want to answer some super chat questions real
sure.
quick. The homie Andy Gabbs, what's up, Andy? He wants to know what projects / animal pairings are you guys both excited for this year? And Andrew, why don't you start, man? Because you just had something. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but Andrew got some good news while he's been here. So
I was I honestly think the most exciting thing that I am hopefully willing, possibly maybe we'll see this season, is a clutch of barneck scrub pythons. But but maybe we'll see. We'll take it one day at a time.
You the scrub prince.
before we get to Steven's most exciting project / pairing of the year, Andrew is notorious for being so realistic with
asshole.
shit. Like I used to send pictures of locks. I used to send pictures of ovulations, and he would like, I don't get. He would literally respond, I don't get excited until I see eggs, or even when the eggs come, I don't get excited until I see them eat. And I'm like, what the fuck?
If you want to have your hopes and dreams crushed, and if you're on like a I'm happy kind of kick, talk to Andrew, and you'll very quickly become very upset and.
I wouldn't say upset. I think it's
become dejected.
I don't even know if that's the proper word to use. I would really just kind of base it. I would kind of base it off of just don't count your eggs before they hatch. And even me mentioning what I mentioned just before with this possible scrub breeding, it's absolutely so far away from happening. And it's, as of right now, it's a possibility, but I'm not holding my breath to anything other than just to maybe. And that's how everyone, I think, regardless of how comfortable you are with the species that you've bred, even if it's something you've done 10 times over, never count your eggs before they hatch.
All right, Steven, what's your most exciting pairing of 2022 or project? What's going on?
It's kind of unfortunate how consistent our answers will be, but it's all the scrub pythons. We have 17 female scrub pythons that we're attempting to breed this year. We've seen locks with 4 of them so far, and now we have an entire building dedicated to their breeding. So,
wow.
I'm all in on this stuff. Basically, with this kind of sample size, we have a much better shot at actually figuring out what makes these animals tick, with the goal of getting offspring in the right people's hands. People who aren't just buying that animal because they want to put it on TikTok or it has a shiny iridescence. And they're going to get a lot of likes on it, but people that actually have the same level of dedication that we all have to the kind of project. And, those animals will actually have a shot at making 2nd generation, 3rd generation, to where we no longer need these wild caught imports, where, the whole conservation through captive propagation or commercialization thing. It doesn't really work if you keep bringing the wild ones into the commercial sector, does it?
Right.
That's kind of that's the goal with it is, do something that really has never been done before of breeding scrub pythons on a larger scale. They've been bred off and on here for really, probably 20, 30 years now. But no one has ever been able to get consistent, routine, multiple clutches a year type of success where they can actually say, I know what I'm doing, or I know pretty damn well what I'm doing, like people with ball pythons, retics, such and such can say. So
let me ask you this, Steven. I don't want to, upset Andrew here, but because we don't know. Obviously, we don't know the future, right? There's a lot of possibilities of what the fuck. But let's just say things go in your favor with the scrubs, like more than you're expecting. Like, let's just say you're making shit happen. How big do you want to go with this? Like, what are your thoughts? Are you thinking about making, like, if you could really make things happen with scrubs, or would you consider a whole nother facility if it was all possible? Like, are we talking like to that extent?
I don't think the numbers are as much of a factor of like compared to what the actual goal is of all of it. And
I think we're just still understanding the snakes.
but you know, the way I see it, I mean, to me, they're my favorite animals in the world. I'm obsessed with them, and I don't, you know, I know that more people would feel the same way, and I've had people say, hey, you know, I didn't know about the scrub pythons before I was following you. I kept ball pythons, carpets, whatever. And I got my first scrub python, and this is already my favorite snake in my collection. They just operate mentally at such a higher level. They have that beauty and versatility of they don't all look the same. Snakes like olive pythons, some of my favorite animals in the world. I'll never go a day without an olive python. An olive python is an olive python is an olive python. There's albinos, but like they all look the exact same. A room of 100 olive pythons is not nearly as exciting as a room of 100 scrub pythons. Just there's so much natural variety to them.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Almost nothing ever has been done with line breeding. When VPI used to breed scrub pythons, they had a few lines that were just spectacular, like Dave Prada as well. But
can I ask you a question about line breeding, Kush?
Sure.
Because I don't really know too much, like how, like people have a line of certain things that they bred, like Vinsky, blue line Vinsky, right?
Sure.
So what would it actually take to create a scrub line? Like what would need to happen like for you to actually create your own scrub line?
Well, I think, what do you consider a line?
Well, okay, well,
that's kind of like
right.
What do any of us truly consider a line? I think often it derives from one animal, one pairing, whatever, of something that's phenotypically extreme, generally speaking, or unique, that offspring of theirs have a specific look. So like with any of the green tree pythons, many of them came from either a wild caught import or one fateful clutch that was, it was absolutely incredible, that produced animals that just had very, very strong genetics as far as the phenotype goes. With scrub pythons, the only one ever you really can point to is the animal called Rain that VPI produced, that then went to David Means, and he bred that animal multiple times. We have a few Rain offspring animals, and I'll just say they're some of the most incredible looking barneck scrubs I've ever been able to see in photos or in person in my whole life. Rain was an animal with a very light and vibrant base tan color that extended to the tail as well, with barring on the first half that was very well spaced out and very dark and high contrast. And its offspring have stayed the course as far as maintaining that look. So I think as far as that goes, that's the type of thing where you find imported animals or first generation from other breedings that kind of complement that phenotype, and kind of keep breeding for that look, mixing in new blood so you're not hitting that inbreeding depression, and then keeping track of it as well. With the scrub pythons, for me personally, take a lot of inspiration from the green tree python world of how well the genetics and the lineage has been able to be tracked over time, where we can literally, somebody produces a green tree python and they can track that animal back to the 1970s. That's incredible. I want it to be the 2040s and be like, yeah, here's our 5th generation barneck, and here's the pedigree going back to 2018. I just think that type of mindset, some people will say it's like elitism, but I feel like it's just taking the hobby a bit more seriously, looking at it from a more professional mindset. So that to me is kind of what I'm trying to do. There's a lot of debate about the validity of locality type within scrub pythons, especially within the barnecks. So if we can acquire and prove true locality type barnecks, I think that's also, or scrub pythons in general, it's also important to maintain those pure locality lines. But I think as well, creating a designer market, so to speak, but just kind of that higher level of thinking, like what happens with green tree pythons, emerald tree boas, some of the rat snake species, etc. I think that just it perpetuates an environment where the care of taking of those animals is going to be superior because mentally it's a much more involved process, and the person doing it is passionate on it for multiple reasons.
Right.
Anyway.
Goddamn. Stephen Cush, baby.
I haven't done a podcast in a while.
Yeah.
Man. I've been fiending.
He's kilting it. Okay, so I got to ask you this. I'll ask Andrew this. Fuck, Stephen, Jesus. What's one of the things, Andrew, you feel is kind of the most like what's most overlooked commonly when getting into a species like monitor? You feel like
Just how long term they actually are, and on a longevity standpoint, they just live a lot longer than I don't say they live a lot longer than your average reptile. Just they just have a lot more requirements than say your everyday lizard.
Now, what about you, Stephen? Because I remember you've seen a lot. So, I mean, what's one of the most commonly like overlooked things when getting into a big monitor species?
I mean, I don't think I can really say much more than Andrew, but I think it just comes down to the lack of education on them out there. Knowing what you're getting into. It's like buying an alligator or buying a mainland retic or something like that. Just understanding the true level of commitment that goes behind it. It's not buying a corn snake. So not to just rehash what he said, but I don't think that can be emphasized enough.
Shout out to Apple. Wait, is Apple corn snake?
No, Apple is not a corn snake.
What
Apple is an Arizona mountain king snake.
Damn, I was
Bob
way
Applegate
off.
line.
Oh, okay. But you named it Apple.
It became Apple over the course of the weekend. But
Shout out to Apple.
Beautiful little colubrid that we acquired this weekend.
Nice. I'm going to go ahead and do another super chat here. Got Marcel Hawkins with a question. What do you think makes a good keeper regardless snake or lizard? I've had animals my entire life, and I feel as if I've done it wrong most of it. So for those of us who are getting into this seriously, just in general. So in your opinion, what is it that you feel makes a good keeper in your guys' eyes?
Just always be adapting to change and just being open to what you're keeping, and knowing that what you think may work can also be tweaked and changed. And just to really just know that as a keeper, you're always trying to improve the animal's life. And
I mean, I think he kind of nailed it there. I think a lot of what we've been talking about this whole show kind of lends towards that. Accepting when you're wrong, being open to information without, coming in with a bias or an opinion. Listening to people who've been doing it for longer than you, taking information from different places. And at the end of the day, just, looking at the animals from a standpoint of, what we're doing is for them. As much as it's for us, it's also for them. And, really just understanding that what you think might not be correct, and that's fine, but having the mindset where you're willing to adapt to new information.
I think capitalize on that. You should, if you're working with something specific and this is a whatever project you're passionate about, but if it's something specific, and obviously if it's something rare that not too many people are working on and other people are working on that project as well, I feel like coming together as far as either brainstorming or coming up with an idea to pursue this project to go farther. Because I don't know, like you have ball python people, then you have scrub people, you have green tree python people. If it's one thing, if you notice with the chondro people, they fucking, they're snobs, but they all fucking come together. Like they're all informative. They all fuck with each other. I mean, look at Patrick Holmes, look at fucking Bill, look at Socrates, all these people that come to the forefront and give them information. I don't see any of that in the scrub game at all. I don't see that. I mean, and maybe because there's not so many people at it, but
it's much newer, but there's a lot of gatekeeping and weirdness involved in that. I don't like it.
So either way, I'm just saying Unity is the biggest, your biggest bet, man. I mean, Marshall, I know I've only known you for about a year or so, but I mean, shit, man. I mean, at the end of the day, if you put yourself out there, you go to shows, you make connections, you just build relationships. I would have never been cool with these guys if I would have never met Andrew at Pomona. Even if we had that relationship through the phone, Instagram, we wouldn't be this close. We're only this close because I physically made sure I met these people and we kicked it and we vibed. And then you go from there. Trust me, there's people I met up with that I don't vibe, and you find out, okay, maybe I'm glad I met you because I don't like you, and that's it. You keep it moving. But you find who you fuck with, and that's it. But I mean, listen, you're young, bro. You got a lot of good things going on your end. Just keep fucking hunkering down and just meet people, man. Make connections. But all right, a little wrap-up question before we should I do hot seat questions for you? Yeah, I'll do hot seat questions. Why not? Wrap-up question for Steven Cush, and then I'll go to Andrew. But Steven, what is, God forbid COVID work, doesn't fuck up anything what we have going on, but what is the most exciting show you're looking forward to this year? Obviously we had Pomona, but what is in your mind? I know you don't like to think down the road because you're constantly fucking working like a beast, but let's just say if it did cross your mind, what show are you looking forward to the most?
And I have a pretty solid answer for this. It's definitely this upcoming March Tinley.
Woo!
We can't say too much now, but we have something pretty big that we're unveiling at that show. So as far as Cold-Blooded Cafe,
it's gonna be huge.
So easy answer for me. It's March Tinley Park.
Andrew?
I would have to agree. I mean, that was also the first big super show type that I've ever went to, and it was 2018, and been going ever since. And yeah, definitely my favorite show to date.
Tinley, October, because my wife will be there. See, I love you, wife. Thanks for just fucking racking up that bill at Gucci right now. Jesus Christ, that was a bad idea. Why did I give her my card?
You gave her your card? Oh, okay.
Because I didn't buy a snake, so I thought I would be all right. I was an idiot.
Applegate, not Apple.
Applegate. I blame Applegate. Oh, it's Apple.
Apple for short,
Apple's Dan's wife. My bad. Sorry. All right, guys, listen. Thank you so much for tapping in. We got hot seat questions for Andrew and Steven. And the way we're going to do this, you guys answer the hot seat question at the same time, okay? How do you guys feel about that? Cool.
I mean, do we
Fuck,
have
I'll talk to myself then. Jesus.
Love it. Let's do it. Hot seat question time.
Hot seat questions coming in hot for Steven Cush and Andrew Acevedo. You ready?
So ready. Byron.
Bro,
who's the president?
Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought. Jesus.
Wait, what?
Frozen thought or live?
Frozen thought.
A cut or no cut?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, cut.
Red Chondro Neo or yellow Chondro Neo?
Yellow.
Deep maroon.
Pre first shed meal or post first shed meal?
Whenever you feel like it.
Whoa. Okay. No. What do you pre or post?
Yeah, fuck pre. Why not?
Oh my
They can
God.
eat, they can eat.
Yeah.
Straight bake incubation or no straight bake?
What do you
Depends on
mean?
the species.
Yeah. What do you mean by bake?
Like bake, incubate, like
Like,
Oh,
cooking
geez,
eggs, got
yeah,
all
just-
time, or-
Jesus.
fuck it.
Straight
They
bake?
said bake, B-A-K, not
That's what it
B-A-T.
is,
Yeah.
Okay. Yay imports or boo imports?
Yay, imports.
Yay for now. Hopefully
Yeah.
boo at some point.
Not forever.
To spray a snake or to not spray a snake?
Spray.
To spray.
All right. Sports or no sports?
Sports.
Sports.
Favorite sport?
Basketball.
Soccer.
Oh my God. All right. Favorite basketball team, Steven?
Chicago Bulls.
Favorite soccer player, Andrew?
I don't watch soccer.
Oh my God. This guy's so cap.
Dude, BMX, bro.
Jesus Christ. All right. Big flexor, no flexor?
No flex.
Cap. Oh my God. He's cap. Sorry.
Just kidding.
I've seen him eat.
No flex.
Bullshit.
No flex. So
Andrew's no
they know
flex.
better.
He's a humble flex for sure. Steak or fish?
Steak.
Fish.
Yay alcohol or boo alcohol?
Yay, alcohol.
Yay sake. No alcohol for Steven.
Not really.
Little. Okay, hold on. Detroit rap game or Chicago rap game? Chicago.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
What?
Chicago.
I'm with the D.
Sorry.
Detroit.
Chicago.
God damn it. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
West Coast.
Yeah.
Favorite West Coast rapper?
Don't put me on the spot.
But that's not a rapper.
I said,
Oh.
yeah, just don't put me on the spot. I feel like I wouldn't be able
Machine
to.
Gun Kelly? What?
No,
Just kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Good question. Good question.
Oh,
don't know.
sorry, Draco the Ruler. Rest in
Oh,
peace.
respect. R.I.P.
Yeah,
R.I.P. R.I.P. Damn. That was a hard one, man. Steven, any day. You said West Coast.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know.
If you say Nirvana, I'll be pissed. Sorry about my friend Steven, guys. He's not good at this.
I can't think of my favorite.
You can't
West
think
Coast
of one
right
rapper
now.
on the West
Of
Coast?
course I can. I'm trying to think of my favorite. Oh, I'll shout out YG.
I knew it was gonna be YG.
Wow.
Oh yeah, the fucking blood. Let's see. Little word association. First thing to come to mind. Ship it.
MJ.
Package.
That was sick. Milk.
Snake.
Cocoa.
Tits.
Oh yes.
We've always said that.
I always want tits. Cocoa.
Brick.
Puffs.
Stuck shed.
Water.
Outrage on TikTok.
Egg box substrate.
Sphagnum or sand.
Yeah, sphagnum moss.
ICAP.
Big cat.
Water.
Ovulation.
Don't get choked
See me
up.
at the top, bro.
Day 16.
Bite your nails.
Depends on the species.
Instagram trolls.
Love them.
You got to get rid of one platform forever, and I mean forever. Is it going to be TikTok or YouTube?
TikTok.
TikTok.
Nice, thank God. All right, guys, listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for. It's sad that you guys have to leave, but you guys got agendas. You guys got animals to take care of. That's why, like, honestly, man, to have them here for a couple of days, it's fun as it is. It's stressful for them because they got a shit ton of things to go back home to. So, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. What do you guys? Let's have Andrew. What do you have to say to all your supporters out there, man? Because I will say a lot of my Patreon members were excited that you came to the show and whatnot. So you have a lot of supporters out there, man. What do you got to say to all of them?
Always appreciate meeting everyone. It's always a fun time, and look forward to all these up and coming shows, and hopefully see everyone at Arlington.
Steven?
Yes, sir. I mean, same thing, deeply appreciate everybody who is, tuning in with this, everyone who supports Cold Blooded Cafe.
Fresh and messes.
Freshest and the bestest.
We're doing everything we can to provide the best for this community, and we try to set an example and be a kind of a beacon of inspiration or whatever you want to call it. Just try to have a positive impact on what we're doing, and try to make sure that we're all looking out for our animals the best we can. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you everybody for your continued support, and see you at the top.
And
Exactly.
And if you don't fuck with Cold Blooded Cafe, hey, what the fuck was that? Why was it muted? It's hard. Bye, guys.
Oh my
We're out.
God.